What it mean to be the best? Riding foes, feeling unimpressed. Make me reminisce, throwing bows, bend the corner, set my mind up on a goal. All I know is stay down, bad, I'm the goal. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now there ain't no debate. Yeah. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now there ain't no debate. Yeah. I ain't gotta say much. Know the boy got a touch. Another win for the rush. Another win for the rush. See me once and got a crush. See you twice and that's enough. Get the ring sized up.
What's up? Welcome back. Tell the Truth, episode 80. We are further into June. The Chiefs have started their mandatory mini camps. And the entirety of their draft class has shown up in addition to their star defensive players. So that's great
like the Bengals.
because sometimes apparently is not the case around the National Football League for other teams, even though apparently it's some other Chiefs.
Technically, he's a Chiefs fan, so
apparently so. Hey,
look,
information got leaked.
I would also want to be a fan of champions, not somebody else. That's just
according to sources,
got leaked, not by us.
Sources. He's a Chiefs fan.
Apparently, I mean, if I was a kid in Texas, I see my homes balling out.
Hey,
I want to be a Chiefs fan too.
I'm deal done.
Everybody loves a winner, okay? Anyway, we're moving on. So yes, the mandatory mini camps have started around the National Football League and in Kansas City as the Chiefs have started up. We've got some Rashee Rice out there working. Got all the rookies working hard. Defensive players out there. Good to see. Steve Spagnuolo going on New Heights podcast, messing around with Travis and Jason Kelsey, of course.
Oh, that's who the big guest was?
Yes, it was, in fact, Steve Spagnuolo, and they were having some fun about Travis Kelsey throwing an interception to Landon Collins against Steve Spagnuolo's Giants a few years ago on a trick play, trying to get to Tyreek Hill. So we're not going to be recapping the New Heights podcast. We are going to be getting into the AFC West divisional opponents. We're going to break down both sides of the ball for each of our rivals, in addition to looking at some of the storylines that come into this with a coaching staffs around the AFC West that is looking like an all-star team trying to take out the Kansas City Chiefs now. Before that, we do have a few pieces of news just to kind of hit on as far as around the NFL. So it is going to start kind of talking about the actual holdouts as far as that is concerned. Terry McLaurin up in Washington is currently looking for a new deal. That is something I expect to get done, as they probably should get it done. I will hold off on another AFC North team for right now, and we can get into it. But the Bengals have a pair of pass rushers currently that are having a little bit of an issue. Both Trey Hendrickson wants a raise, and Shamar Stewart wants to not have his contract be different from every other first rounder in history, which is, I think, a reasonable demand. But apparently some people maybe don't feel the same. So obviously we went through this, and I will recap it for us. As of right now, Trey Smith has signed. He has signed the tag. He doesn't have to be there, but he is there. He's just not practicing, I believe, is technically what he is doing right now, which is understandable. Everybody else, I believe, is in attendance. Omar Norman Lott right now is the only draft pick that has not signed, but he does have a waiver, and he is also still practicing as of this moment as well. Few guys that aren't necessarily working, like Josh Simmons is still doing some individual work, not necessarily doing the full team thing. And then Jawan Taylor, I think, is a little bit nicked up, so he's not doing much work right now anyway. Anything you guys want to talk about as far as that is concerned? Or you can talk about the Bengals side of it or the Chiefs side of it, whichever one you guys have something to say about.
I thought we could pay everybody.
Everybody currently under contract.
Unlimited amount of money.
But you told y'all okay. Y'all told
unlimited
me
amount of money.
We could pay Joe. We could pay Jamar. We could pay T.
5 deal done.
We'll get Trey done too. What happened?
What happened?
Where the money go? I mean, it's like it just vanished in the thin air.
I thought Trey was gonna be a Bengal. That's what they told me.
Ultimately, man. Man, this is the nature of the beast, dog. Like, you can't. I've been saying this. Like, it's no disrespect to the Bengals or anything, but like, you can't expect your team to have the highest paid quarterback, the highest paid receiver, one of the highest paid other receivers in the league.
Yep.
And pay Trey Hendrickson as a top edge rusher and have your draft picks. It just doesn't work like that. Like
a lot of ducking.
It also appears you can expect your team to have a good offense and a good defense, but that is the different conversation.
It's just, yeah, I mean, I would love to see Trey Hendrickson obviously get paid, whether that be with the Bengals or some other team. I think he deserves it at this point. The Shamar Stewart situation is very weird, in my opinion. I've never seen anything quite like this at this point, especially this late into the off season. Hopefully something does get done though, because I think both guys obviously deserve to get what they need to get at this point. So Jermaine Pratt went to, I'm guessing that maybe is gonna help clear up some cash or something of that significance to the Raiders. But yeah, it's not looking too well in Mingle Land right now. But I don't blame Trey Hendrickson at all, man. Hold out for as long as you, and that's not to say that, I'm trying to keep him off the field, but you deserve what you deserve, bro. Especially when you led the league in sacks last year.
Back-to-back years, absolutely.
I need my money, and I need it now. Call JG Wentworth, because
what the general say? Have it how you want.
Yes. Hopefully something gets done.
Obviously, these are two separate situations. Trey Hendrickson feels like he has, and I shouldn't say feels like he has proven himself to be one of the best edge rushers in the National Football League and deserves a raise because the contract that he was on previously was a bargain. The Bengals are in a position where they were like, well, we signed you to this contract because we thought it would be a bargain, and now we want to keep you on this contract because we kind of need it to continue to be a bargain, considering we don't have a defense anyway, so we kind of need all the assets we can get. But that is the reality of the situation as teams kind of earmark it. The Shamar Stewart thing feels very dirty. The reason why it feels dirty is because Shamar Stewart is very much a boom bust prospect. He is somebody that people feel needs to be developed and needs a lot of work done because he has all the athletic talent in the world. He just needs to develop, from a technical aspect and a little bit of work on in defending the run to be a true 3-down impact edge. To put in language that allows you to void that contract guarantees early is nasty for a first round pick.
First time ever that been done for them too. It's crazy.
It's a very nasty thing to try and sneak by in a rookie contract because that's betting on the development that you're supposed to be responsible for by taking this prospect. And if you didn't feel comfortable with that risk, then don't take a boom bust prospect in the first round. But of course they decided to. And now they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and we will see how that standoff will end up working out for them. That being said, fortunately, I think that we're still in a pretty good spot as far as Chiefs are concerned. I did say this, though. If we got to a month out before that July 15th deadline, that would where I would start to be, a little bit concerned as far as Trey Smith is concerned. This is mandatory minicamp rink. It does not sound like, based on some things that I heard Nate Taylor talk about, kind of recently, that's going to be happening this week as far as an extension, but we will see. It sounds like they checked in and nothing happened. So as kind of happens with these things, deadlines get things done. So it may be something that does end up going up until that July 15th deadline, and then Trey Smith ends up getting his extension because, once again, they want him here. He wants to be here. It makes sense that would be something that ended up getting done. And then, as we've been saying, Trent McDuffie is something that is an extension that will be looked at kind of closer to training camp as well. George Karlaftis feels like something that maybe be tabled until next offseason when he'll be coming up on free agency. So we'll see how that ends up going. That being said, they're still having some good times at Chiefs training camp and having some fun. Certainly quarterback one is having a good time out there kicking the football around a little bit, which, based on what I saw from the U.S. Men's national team, I would actually be perfectly fine if he ended up playing for us in the World Cup next year or the Olympics in 2 years or 3 years. I'd have no issues with that because it
can't hurt.
It really can't hurt. It can't get much.
Can't hurt. That in U.S. team was big. Can't hurt.
I promise you, can't get worse. All that being covered, I did want to save this so that we can get to the last one. Star pass rusher within the AFC North, Mr. TJ Watt, also holding out as he is into the last year of his deal. And that goes into a little bit more of the news around the National Football League as the nation's long nightmare is over. Mr. Aaron Rodgers has signed with a team. It ended up being the Pittsburgh
Long
Steelers,
overdue,
of course. Yes. And now the Steelers are right in line for their nice 9-win season and possible first-round exit. So anything as far as TJ Watt and Aaron Rodgers is concerned from you guys?
Aaron Rodgers, shocker. Oh, we didn't expect this.
Could have done this a month ago. You ain't have to drag that out.
Yeah, yes, Mo, that was Alex Smith in the background. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, we all do where Aaron was probably pretty much going to sign. And for the people who doubted Ricky on Twitter, stop.
I better stop doubting that dog.
Stop doubting the dog. He's always right.
Knows. He in the building.
But yeah, the TJ Watt thing, again, another guy who's lead at this position deserves to get paid. I'm almost assuming that I think that situation is probably a little bit more fluid than the Trey Hendrickson situation. I don't think that's something the Steelers are gonna, sit their hands on or anything at this point. So I would expect something to probably get done for TJ Watt here soon. But yeah, no point of you being out there if you feel like you're not getting paid what you deserve to get paid at this point. So, but it is what it is. I think TJ is probably going to end up getting his money anyway. So do they have a choice? I mean, your defense is going to suck without.
If you don't pay TJ Watt, I don't know what you expect to win football games because it ain't going to be Aaron Rodgers. So.
Right.
2025. So now him and Trey, both of those deals are going to get done. Are they going to take forever? Yes. May they bleed over until week 1? Possibly. But I think both deals are going to get done inevitably. The Shamar Stewart one is probably the most craziest one to me. That has the fact that you're trying to pull of one of like that, try to void in the contract that's never been done before in the team history. You're trying to pull that on your first rounder is ridiculous. Of all players to pull that on, why him? If that was the case, like DMac said earlier, why draft him in the first place if you don't think he's that good? You kind of wasted your pick then in the first place. So
not meeting the cheap allegation.
Clearly, you don't want to pay a guy that you took in the first round. If you don't think he was anyways. But no, anything else as far as I mean, it's good to see at least Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf getting along. That was nice to see them playing golf together. That was cool.
For now.
For now, yeah. We'll see how long that lasts.
Him and Garrett Wilson got along very nicely until he was like, please get me Devontae Adams. And Garrett Wilson was like, please leave me alone.
Over under before he has an episode on the sideline like he did in Seattle talking about, can we throw the ball down the field? So that'll be hilarious. Anything else around the league? Nothing else really happened that need to know. Oh, well, the Broncos signed J.K. Dobbins. That was pretty cool.
Well, yeah, so I was going to say the J.K. Dobbins and the Jermaine Pratt thing for when we got into our AFC West talks. And obviously, King Mo did also mention that in the comments as well. So before we go in and get into that AFC West, we got two other Chiefs topics that I did want to get into. The first was a part of kind of some offseason program talk. Dave Toub did have a quote in which he kind of discussed Xavier Worthy as a possible kick and punt returner. I think he specified maybe punt returner as far as I was concerned. And so when he first said this, it struck me like I was like, I don't want to see that. Personally, I don't want to see that, especially not with some of the other guys that you assume is going to find the way to have a spot on the roster, whether it's a Tyquan Thornton or maybe a Nico Remigio. Obviously, Jalen Royals does also have return experience as well. Elijah Mitchell, Brashard Smith, Noah Williams on the quarterback side. So I don't necessarily my first reaction was a little bit visceral, but I understood bringing it up from the standpoint of if you have a healthy Rashee Rice and a healthy Hollywood Brown, do you want to still have the possibility for Xavier Worthy to come in for some relief duties or maybe some big-time punt returns that you feel are situationally appropriate for him? So how do you feel about Xavier Worthy as a punt returner, both of you guys, and obviously DG is somebody that watched him a lot as Texas as well?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I have no lack of confidence that he can't do it. Or
can he do it? Yeah, this is all on safety.
He can definitely do it.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm out. I think it's okay.
Whose idea was this?
Yeah, this is definitely a Dave Toub.
Toub, what the Toub? Shut up.
I'm okay with it if it's
emergency situations. I'm cool.
Yeah, or playoffs or something like that. That's your chance to flip the field.
Yeah, like 1-on-1.
I'm saying like they used Tyreek Hill a little bit further into his career.
Big moment situation.
It was big moment type of aspect.
Yeah, if
I'm cool with it. Yes,
if he's coming out of the bullpen with it, I'm cool with that. But as a full-time returner, I'm definitely out. I think he's way more valuable to you as a receiver. But in certain situations, I'm okay with it.
That's what you got Brashard Smith for.
Yeah, I think
or Nico, whichever one you like, either one.
Yeah, I think if you really want to do it, put Nico as your kick or punt returner, or put Rashard
Hell, he
Smith
did
as
both. Hell, shit.
your kicker punt returner as well. Let them guys kind of handle it up until this point. I think you can go out and really get a Montrell Washington back if you really want to, get loose with it or whatever. But I don't think this is a situation where you put Xavier in harm's way, for 17 games out of the year, to make him punt return, especially with Rasheed, especially after we seen Rasheed Rice went down last year. So and we know what Hollywood Brown's health is at this point in his career. So I don't think this would be a really great idea to have him as the full-time returner, but in a pinch hitting situation, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I think that was the long and short of where they were looking, and I understand it from that standpoint. If you want to put him in certain situations, that's not something I want to see regularly, though. And certainly, we'll get into this as we get further to the roster preview. But hopefully, you'll have a wide receiver, in addition, like I said, to Noel Williams and another running back that'll be options for you as far as return duties are concerned as well. Mo, we will be addressing some of the quarterback ranking stuff in some of our NFL full preview stuff. So we'll get to that a little bit later on in the summer. But I did see that. That was something.
I didn't see that.
It was something.
I have to go look at that. I'll go look at it.
So the last thing I wanted to get as far as a chart, a Chiefs specific, I should say, aspect of it. I was thinking about this as far as kind of a full, kind of future plan and looking at it from that standpoint. As far as the offensive defensive core, as far as this team is concerned, as the team, kind of tries to reset and maybe move into a different era now outside of what the three-preach chase maybe was looking like from that standpoint. And so you kind of look at what, future guys that this team has under contract, at least in a 1 to 3 year window, with on the offensive side of the ball, as far as Mahomes, I included Rashard Smith, obviously the trio wide receivers, Rasheed Rice, Xavier Worthy, Jalen Royals, Noah Gray, Jared Wiley. I'm including Jake Brennan School. I think he's somebody that has a decent shot to stick around here for a while. And then Josh Simmons, Kingsley Suamataia, Creed Humphrey, and I'm assuming them putting a Trey Smith here as he'll be here. And then look to the defense side of the ball, a little bit more scarce, led by Chris Jones, obviously newest signed Nick Bolton, Trent McDuffie, who I do expect to get an extension, Noel Williams, and then Jaden Hicks and Shamari Connor. So the question I kind of have is just looking at some of the guys that are signed beyond this year, and then including Trey Smith and Trent McDuffie, who we expect to be signed beyond this year. Which side of the ball do you feel better about as far as an offensive defensive core for the Chiefs here as we currently, stand?
Go ahead, EG.
I think defensively.
Mm-hmm.
I think this team is in a really good position moving forward. They've done, and I think this is something that Veach has been really adamant about. Vice versa, building that offensive side. I think he's tried to, do what he can to build the offensive side, but I think more than anything, he's made it an importance to really be able to give Pat a defense that can get stops and get off the field. If you're not doing that, you're not winning games. So I think they've done a really good job of, adding to their pass rush room. Jahdae coming in, Omar Narmalot being able to come in. They also add into that secondary and adding Noel Williams, Jaden Hicks, even going back out. I know this is an older guy, but even going back out and bringing a veteran back in like Mike Edwards to kind of be able to be that leadership for that young secondary that's going to be out there this year. The Jalen Watsons of the world and Trey McDuffie and his ascending growth. So I think they've put themselves in a really good position to further continue the excellence of that side of the ball, keeping Steve Spagnuolo around, and bringing in guys that fit the mold and culture of that defense. I think has really helped as well too. So my kudos and praise go out to Veach and them for what they've done on that side of the ball. And I think moving forward, they're going to continue to keep adding on to that because obviously, like I said, if you're not getting stops, you're not winning games. So, that's what I would be with it.
Oh yeah, definitely defense for me. I think the infrastructure is kind of set right there. There's question marks on both sides of the ball, like DG stated, but defense has the least amount of question marks for me outside of D tackle. This roster is pretty much set everywhere else for me, honestly. I know it's going to be a transition from Jaden going from role player to being full-time starter at safety, but I think he's more than willing and more than capable of taking over that role as being our end-of-box safety, bringing the athleticism that we need to the team that we desperately needed in the safety room. The corner room is probably the deepest room we've had in a minute, probably since the Spags era since we've been here. Honestly, we got 2 or 3 deep on both corner sides, and Trent can truly play slot if we need to, because you got multiple guys outside that are all fighting for jobs and fighting for money. Christian Fulton obviously got a deal. He's trying to prove himself, and Jalen Watson's trying to earn some more contract money as well. Josh Williams still fighting for playing time, and obviously everybody's going to try to get on the field as much as they can. So Trent McDuffie's the head of the snake. So I love the way the secondary is right now in the linebacking group. We finally got that athleticism back when we drafted Jeff out of Oregon to bring that juice back that we lost when Willie moved on a couple years ago. So I think outside of really the loss of Turk, which really isn't that big of a loss to me, I'm not trying to like downgrade what Turk did for us. He had a hell of a 2 years, and to come off the knee injury he had a couple years ago and bounce back from that to dominate and go get paid, shout out to him. He earned his money. But I think Omar and obviously Ashton are more than willing and more than capable to come in, and just neither one of those guys are expected to be contributors right away, because we have other guys in the room that are going to make plays as well. So they're going to come in, they're going to get their snaps, they're going to play, but we're not leaning heavily on any of those guys that come in and make plays. When you bring guys like Charles Omenihu back, you bring Jeff Tillery from the Raiders, obviously Chris Jones is still there, the head of the snake for the D-line room. So the standard is pretty much set in that room. Now guys just kind of got to find their role and just contribute, and nobody should be more motivated this year than George Karlaftis, who's another guy playing for contract money more so next year than this year. But everybody in there is hungry. Everybody's trying to get paid, whether it be like Charles Omenihu on a 1-year deal, George coming off his rookie year. Guys are trying to get their money and solidify who they are in this league. So I think Omar and Ashton are just going to come in and just fit right in with the group and just try to contribute when they can. So I think the defense is in a much better place than the offense right now. Hopefully the offense can get up to par, with obviously the biggest question mark, and in my opinion, the second most important position on your team being your left tackle, besides the quarterback. So if we can get that figured out, then I think obviously they'll be in a good spot. They can go out there and dominate like they have in years past. But I think as of right now, it's fair to say the defense has the least amount of holes or question marks on the roster right now. So I think they're in a better place currently right now for sure.
Interesting. So I when I was looking at this, and you guys had also mentioned the ability for Ashton Delati and Omar Normalat to factor into this, and I think that's a key thing to add in as well. But I feel a little bit better about the offensive side of the ball as far as the core is concerned. Now this is difficult because 15 kind of skews everything. And he obviously is the quarterback, and that makes it obviously a lot different when you got that.
It pays when you got the best quarterback, you know.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy answer, but I do. Maybe I am. It's June, and I'm talking myself into it, but I do feel better about what the offensive line looks like. The fact that you do have Joshua Simmons, and I believe in him staying healthy and him being able to be the tackle that we saw on tape. We know Creed and Trey is an elite interior offensive line duo. If Suamataia gives you standard play, I think you've got 4 of your offensive line set here, for at least for the next 3 years or so. And that's before you get into adding in the fact that Jawan Taylor, if he gets subbed out, and you have the chance for Jalen Moore to step in for that next, right tackle situation into the future as well. So I feel a little bit better about that. I obviously, I did not factor Kelsey into this because I did say as if I think this is going to be his last year. The tight end is going to take a step back from that standpoint, but I think Gray, Wiley, and Brenning Stool, that could be a trio that would make sense for what the Chiefs like to do using multiple tight end sets. And I'm incredibly bullish about what Reisner-Worthy and Royals can bring to the table, especially Royals if you look at maybe a year of development before he really steps into a premier role and what he can do from that aspect. And that's before you add in, a Nico Remigio or a possible Elijah Badger from that standpoint too. So, and the running back room is a question mark, and that's how I just kind of threw in Brashard Smith. But we'll see how that works out. But we know what this is going to be. When 15 is your quarterback and Andy Reid's your coach, it's always going to be built around the passing game, and I think that they're in a good spot from that standpoint. Still, I like what they have on defense. It's just how well can you continue to add to the defensive line and where Karlaftis is as well, to continue to move on from where 95 is taking a step back.
Honestly.
Yeah.
2018 wide receiver group.
Debatable. If we get a healthy Rasheed, a healthy Hollywood, a healthy Zeta,
I think you could say that the top two for 2018 were better, but a full wide receiver room.
This room is probably better.
Yeah,
like 3, 4, 5 is that 3, 4, 5 is better. Yeah. Like when you got guys like Hollywood, Juju, Jalen Royals, if you can live up that's a better 3, 4, 5. Then who was that? DeMarcus, Conley, who was 5?
Yeah, I mean, so Conley and DeMarcus DeMarcus and
Pringle,
Conley 2 and 3, and then it was DeAnthony Thomas, and then Dieter and Kemp. So yeah, I would probably say that this room is deeper, because even though Conley gave you some good snaps, D-Rob, he still hadn't really come on by that point. I trust Juju and Hollywood Brown far more than that.
That's what I'm saying.
That's before you get into, I suppose, Jalen Royals factoring in there at 5 theoretically, and then whoever the 6 is would be better than that. So I'd say this room is deeper, but the top 2 with Hill and Sammy was dynamic. But hey, Rashee Rice breakout year. Yeah, you get a full season of the type of worthy that we saw down the stretch. Who knows? Yeah, maybe you could say overall that this room ends up being better. But I think we can say this. A few years ago, obviously transitioning out of the Tyreek Hill, aspect of it, we said, hey, you're going to have to continue to draft early on into in the draft. You continue to have to select wide receivers early in the draft to rebuild this wide receiver room as far as that is concerned. And, we have a 4-ish year sample size of taking guys early, and then you can include the trade for Darius Toney inside of that as well. But Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Sky Moore, now Jalen Royals, like you hit on 3 or 4 of those guys. Now you've rebuilt your wide receiver room effectively, especially if Rashee Rice looks like the guy that was starting out last year. And like I continue to say, you just take those shots. You take those shots early with wide receivers to continue to build out the room. And, you may miss on some, like Sky Moore. It certainly seems like it's going to, but you're going to hit on those. And it seems like Xavier Worthy is going to be a hit. And you might end up, finding your way into hitting that home run that looks like Rashee Rice can be, which is a guy that you can build your entire passing game out of. And we'll see how that continues to work off, because that's important post 87 as far as Travis Kelce is concerned. How do you guys feel about, that aspect of it, of rebuilding the wide receiver room post Tyreek Hill trade?
I love it. That's why it's a great segue when he said the 2018 room. We had that conversation as soon as we drafted Jalen Royals. This may be the best room since that 2018 Legion of Zoom, and they have the potential to be better. Obviously, like excluding the top 2 when you have guys like Tyreek Hill, but the depth of this room is crazy. Like even when we may move on from guys like Juju and Hollywood in the next couple of years, you have Jalen Rose stepping into wide receiver 3. That's a night and day receiver room from what we saw in 2022 and 2023. From a group that led the league in drops to where we're at now, this could be one of the deepest receiver rooms in the league this year. So no, this is night and day from what we've gone through from the last 2 years. So I think this is a great spot to transition from moving on from Kelce, who if this is the swan song, the last year and the last dance for 87, what better year to have guys like Rashee Rice than Zay leading your receiver room? That's only going to make guys better, and having like veterans like Juju in the room to make Jalen Royals better, to soak up that knowledge and gain the best prepare you can get for this receiver group, and mainly learn the playbook, because we know this is one of the hardest playbooks to learn in the NFL from a receiver standpoint. So I think we're in a great spot, honestly, because we've seen what number 4 is capable of. He can be the catalyst of this offense. He can dictate coverage. He can really go out there and be a 1,200-yard, 10-touchdown receiver. We saw it last year very well and very early in the season along. So as long as his knee is good, he's ready to roll. I think we're ready to move on from 87. It's going to be tough. There's no way to replace his big moments, his clutch. There's so many big plays he made in the biggest moments. He figured out a way to get open. There's no way to replacing that. But I think the receiver room's in a great spot to transition away from now, way more of those so than 2 years ago for sure.
Yeah, I was watching that Bengals Chiefs 2022, technically AFC Championship game back. And just that 4th down and 1 where Mahomes rolls out
and he broke the corner off.
Yeah, broke the corner off, and those are the things that when it gets down to it, he's got to find a way post Travis Kelce to really trust those guys in the moment. But hey, end of the day, that's a next year problem if things go to plan. What you really want to see is these 3 wide receivers, and you add Juju and Jalen Royals and et cetera, are guys that can be the consistent aspects of the offense. And Travis Kelce is the guy that you pick and choose those spots for so that he can properly still do those things and be that safety blanket for Mahomes as you transition out of it. So If you see a little bit more of what happened in the second half of the Super Bowl, where Mahomes just trusted Xavier Worthy down the field, then things maybe fall into place and get Hollywood Brown back as well. So, all that being said, I wanted to go about the kind of offensive defensive core of the Chiefs, because I thought that was a little bit of an interesting thing to look at as well. And obviously, there is a piece of it that does need to be added, and Harrison Butker is a part of this, because having a consistent kicker is a nice thing to say that you have locked down for years to come. And we've seen the level of clutchness that he brings to the table. So having that, position is something you don't have to worry about is nice as well, too. So we're going to get into the AFC West breakdown here and talk a little bit about what teams have done this offseason and how we can match up here. Obviously, the Chiefs will have 6 different games against their divisional opponents, one of which will be to open the season Friday night in Brazil against the Chargers, which we'll get into a little bit. But before we do that, I want to talk about 2 different storylines. First of which, the coaching staff aspect of this. Obviously, Sean Payton came over to the Broncos a few years ago. We know Jim Harbaugh got hired to the Chargers last year, saw the impact for both of those teams getting to the playoffs. Now we have Pete Carroll coming over to the Las Vegas Raiders in addition to their trade for Geno Smith as well. And trying to see an aspect of this, I think that's pretty clear. This is the best division as far as coaching staffs, top to bottom, from that standpoint. How do you guys feel about the fact that, this is the AFC West, and now we have, kind of 3 really good veteran coaches to go against on a consistent basis?
Sucks. I don't like it.
Everybody got to beat the champ, huh?
Yeah. Everybody seems to be trying to get a lot more competitive. Obviously we've ran this division for the last 8 years. So I don't expect anything less from any of these opponents. There's always, I know a lot of people try to say that y'all just run through the division, these games aren't tough, and that's false.
We make it look easy.
Yeah, a lot of these games are really tough games, really come down to the wire. Even when we play the Raiders, last couple games came right down to the last couple possessions. So obviously all these teams are just trying to get back over that hump again. And I think that is indicative of obviously their coaching hires now. Pete Carroll being in Vegas, Sean Payton being out there in Denver, and then Jim Harbaugh joining the Chargers out there. So, yeah, man, I don't expect it to be an easy road at all. I know all these guys can obviously coach their tails off and get guys to really believe. We've seen Sean Payton has turned things around, in the span of a year and a half or so. Jim Harbaugh led his Chargers to the playoffs last year, and I obviously expect Pete Carroll to be able to get things turned around out there in Vegas as well too. So I'm looking forward, like I think we always say, looking forward to the challenge. It's definitely going to be a challenge this year. Nothing's going to be easy for the Chiefs at all. They got to go out there and earn everything that's given to them or whatever, and we'll see where we're at the end of all of it.
Yeah.
No, the best division we've had in a while. This one I actually have more respect for than the one 2 years ago in 2022, when that was supposed to be the year the Chiefs went out of their down. We traded Tyreek Hill. The reign is over. That was the funniest offseason ever. And then we went out there and won the Super Bowl. So that was fun. But no, I think this division, like DG said, has the potential to be really good. I think, again, me and DMac talked off air. I think we'll have 3 playoff teams as well. I think it's going to be us, LA, and Denver in the playoffs. And I think the Raiders will be a much improved football team, having Pete Carroll, Geno Smith. Obviously, they added Jeanty to that room. They're going to build on Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers. So I think that team is much more set to win games this year as long as they stay healthy. I think they'll be a lot more competitive than they were last year, and they were a damn good competitive team in 2024 as well. So, yeah, man, we know the reign was going to it's always going to be tough to try to get to that double digit, because we've won in 9 straight years. We're going on 10 now. So, and I think the record is New England for 12 straight division winners. I think that's the record. So we're 3 away from tying it, 4 away from breaking it. So obviously we knew it was going to be tough when you get to these points. And it seems like yesterday Pat was a rookie, and now we're looking at him in year 8 of playing 9 on the team, which is freaking crazy. So stuff flies by, man. It's been almost a decade now, and we got a lot more work to do. And obviously, Kelsey's on the way out the door. And this is when we truly get to really prove our dominance and show how good of an organization we are. We're not just built around one player at a time. No matter how good they are, we can still go out there and dominate when guys move on. And that's going to really show your dominance of an organization. So I'm excited, man. Division is good. Got a lot of good players. Everybody got a running back. So you could see like our top ranked run defense is going to get tested again this year. But as far as overall, confident going to win the division. Never a doubt in that. I think everybody in the division got better from an offensive standpoint to get more weapons to test us because our defense has been carrying us for the last couple of years. So I expected that as well. But overall, no like game-changing moves. The move that's probably the most annoying is the Jahdae Barron and the RJ Harvey one. Those are the two I didn't want to see the most. I'm not tripping on Omarion or Trey Harris. They're good players, but the Jahdae Barron one really pisses me off because they're already a good defense and they didn't need him. So that was, out of all the moves made this offseason, that one really grinds my gears the most. And then RJ Harvey, because I really wanted him on our team for us. So but overall, I love what everyone did. They obviously made good moves. They're good players that came to the division. Evan Ingram's here now. He plays for Denver. The Broncos just signed J.K. Dobbins yesterday. Everybody's trying to beat us, man. They're trying to knock us off. So I don't expect nothing less. But no, I think we're gonna have 3 playoff teams in the division again, man. It's gonna be probably the best division in the AFC, honestly.
Yeah, I mean you talk about some of the offseason moves as well. To me, like the Jahdae Barron and the RJ Harvey.
It's just because they didn't need Jahdae. Their secondary.
I didn't think of Jahdae as highly as you guys did. I think that he has the ability to be a really good nickel corner, but you still.
And that's where they put him, DMac. Like, you playing outside, I'm cool. But it's like, damn.
I still think you can get after Riley Moss personally. That's just me.
You can. No, he's not.
And I don't think people are expecting Mufunga and Dre Greenlaw to just be there. Healthy selves.
They got to make it again.
Well, so we'll see as far as that's concerned. But look, the Broncos defense is going to be really good. We expect that to happen as well. I don't think that necessarily changed. RJ Harvey, frustrating because I loved RJ Harvey a lot. And obviously they had J.K. Dobbins to improve as far as that running back room is concerned. Chargers getting Omarion, Hampton, Trey Harris is annoying to me. Because I like both of those players a lot. And I think Trey Harris is a really good complement to what they already had in Ladarius McConkey last year as well. So the most frustrating thing is probably Geno Smith going to the Raiders because I like Geno Smith a lot. And
now we got to pick him off twice a year.
The Raiders having a competent coach and quarterback combination just makes it annoying because now it's not 2 free wins every year. You got to actually work for those. Despite obviously what we had to do last year. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's a difficult division, and I'm going to ask you guys this question as well. I think the NFC North is excellent, but I could see a little bit of regression from certainly the Vikings, and I can see a little bit of regression from the Lions. Sure. And that's not to say that we're immune to regression. We certainly could have a worse record than we did last year. We had some things go our way, even if we're a better team. I don't know. I think this could be the best division in all of football. I truly do feel
that's a chance for sure. Especially AFC, no brainer for sure.
Yeah, I think this is easily the best division in the AFC. Like, you could talk yourselves into some of the AFC South teams, I suppose. The Browns look bad, just awful. They look awful. The Steelers look like they're going to be mid again. The Bengals still don't have a defense, and obviously they don't want to pay their defense either. And yeah, like the Ravens are the Ravens, but I don't know. I feel like this is easily the best division in the AFC, and I think this very much could be the best division in all of football. We'll see what ends up happening. Even though I feel good about the Bears and Packers, regression from these other 2 teams could be significant to the point where you feel that the AFC West is better competition. But that being said, I'll ask you guys this as well. Like, how much, can we brag about? Because I don't really like bragging about divisional stuff personally, because I don't like any one of these other 3 teams. But how much can we brag about the fact that the Chiefs end up, going for a 9th straight AFC West division title and being able to do that? Coming off a year in which both teams, of course, or I should say 2 teams in this division outside of the Chiefs did end up making the playoffs, and we think that could happen again. For all the talk about the Patriots dynasty and how the entirety of the AFC East feel like it just rolled over for them on a consistent basis. And it feels like the AFC North is rolling over a little bit for the Ravens. It feels like the AFC East has continued to roll over for the Buffalo Bills. And you just see the continued excellence for the Chiefs and how they continue to be battle tested within their division differently than the entirety of the AFC. So Do you think this can be the best, division of football? And how do you feel about the competition maybe being a little bit difficult for the Chiefs compared to some other divisions as well?
Yeah, I think it could be the best for sure. I mean, you look at from top to bottom. I think you probably got 4 of the best coaches in the National Football League in this division. I think you've got some of the best rosters in this, and I obviously that's been indicative because of what the Chiefs have done over the last decade or so. I look back to just where San Diego, or now LA, or the Chargers, were in the division for a while, and then the Broncos kind of took over when Peyton Manning showed up there, and they, I think they didn't lose the division for like 6-7 years, something like that. So I just think it's at that point in time now where it's this Chiefs time. It's their time to run this division, and obviously people are going to do whatever they can to play catch up and try to snatch that away from you. So yeah, I think it's got potential to be the best division in football. Obviously there are some other ones around the league that they would like to throw their names out there. I think the NFC East always tries to clamor that they're the best, toughest division in football, or the AFC North as well always tries to clamor that they're the toughest division in football. But I truly think that the AFC West has been one of the more model of consistency as far as the level of play against each other. Like I said, all these games, you literally watch the AFC West, they always come down to the last couple possessions. There's no real big blowouts or and things of that nature. It's always tough, fought, hard games. That to me ultimately were ways for them to be one of the better divisions in football at this point.
Nope, absolutely, I agree.
Absolutely. So as we get into kind of some individual breakdowns, we'll start with the Chargers, of course, because you are opening the 2025 season, of course, going against the Los Angeles Chargers. We'll take a quick peek as far as their off season, then also kind of what their roster breakdown ends up looking like so far as well. Let me go ahead and pull it up. I'll ask you guys, just generally speaking, we'll start on Chiefs offense versus Chargers defense. Obviously, the Chargers had a really good defensive year. Maybe not an excellent finish to the defensive year, but at the very least, they did give teams a lot of issues, and they certainly played probably above their talent level. I think the big thing here, them being able to have a little bit of continued development, I should say, from Diane Henley. Obviously, they ended up letting Joey Bosa go. He ends up going to Buffalo, where he's having some injuries already. They brought in Benjamin St-Juste, who was awful from the Commanders. They ended up bringing in Jamar Caldwell, Kyle Kennard, and RJ Makins, I should say, at the safety position to add in as well. And they brought in Deshaun Hand from Miami. So as you kind of look at the Chargers defense versus the Chiefs offense, what are some areas of concern, some matchups that you're going to be looking to watch out for? Nope.
What happened to see that?
Nigga just kicked me. That's crazy.
Wow. Obviously, I mean, what the Chargers have done on that side of, especially on the offensive side of the ball, bringing in Trey Harris. I also believe
DG didn't listen at all.
Oh, you said are we talking about offense or defense?
Damn.
No, the Chiefs offense versus the Chargers defense.
No,
oh, my bad. Sorry, my bad. My mind's in a million places. Defensively for the Chargers, I don't think this is not the side of the ball that really concerns me that much. I don't really think they did a lot to improve that side of the ball for real. Obviously, I mean, going up against them, they know us very well. And they play us, twice a year, so I would expect them to have a few wrinkles up their sleeve. But I don't. Nothing on that side of the ball really just pops out and screams, and scares me at this point. I think as long as we take care of the football and be able to handle our business, I think we should be able to really do whatever we really want to at this point. That's not me trying to sound cocky, but yeah, I just don't see. I mean, Khalil Mack is aging at this point. Derwin James has always been, a significant piece for them, but I think we've kind of known how to be able to handle him in certain situations, what he's good at and what he's not good at. Nothing from their secondary positions really, scare me at this point. So, yeah, I think the Chiefs should really be able to have a good success and be able to move the ball against them. But this is my opinion. Benjamin, I can't believe they really went out and signed Benjamin St.
And it's funny because Ashanti Samuel Jr. is still also a free agent as well. CJ, anything as far as
wild.
Anything as far as the Chargers defense that concerns you?
No, nothing crazy. I mean, another year of guys like RJ Mickens trying to get better. Cam Hart's going to get a lot more playing time than he did last year. I think obviously Joey Bosa has been hurt so much he wasn't really like a huge loss for them. Khalil Mack got another year older. The biggest annoying one is going to be Derwin James always. So obviously he's going to be happy enough to see Travis Kelce on the back end of his career be gone for years. Tua Lopolo is going to be probably the bookend for the rush outside of Khalil Mack. So really nothing. I mean, Denzel Perryman is their linebacker. He called the defense. Nothing really crazy. They added Bud Dupree. He's old as dirt. Nothing really crazy on here, honestly. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good unit. We obviously took Christian Fulton from them, so that was a big loss. He was a starter for them, playing a lot of snaps. Tony Jefferson still playing football, bro. He played with me in high school. Jesus Christ, he old. How is he still in the league? That's crazy.
Yeah. That's what I'm like.
Shout out to Tony, bro. That's great. Oklahoma's great.
There's no disrespect to that side of the ball, but it's just like
nothing. Yeah, the offense is going to be the leader of that football team. I know their defense was really good last year and they played above expectations. But yeah, the offense didn't have to carry them. That's why they added so many weapons because they know they have to score more points than they did last year. But no, this defense, nothing really besides Khalil Mack and Tua Lopez. That really gives me cause for concern, honestly. And Derwin James for respect. But nope, nothing really crazy.
Yeah,
what do y'all think?
I do think that they will have an opportunity here to get after them for the corner room. And hopefully this will be a debut of the wide receiver room in full and be able to have all three of these guys out here, obviously pending Rashee Rice suspension because it seems like his health is in the right place. And obviously Hollywood Brown continuing to be healthy. I think that you can get after this corner room for sure. And this may not be the biggest Travis Kelce game, but I think you can go out there, have a really good day as far as the wide receivers are concerned. The tackle situation, is going to be a question mark. Khalil Mack can still give you some things. I'm not concerned about Bud Dupree. Obviously, Thule can give you, they're expecting a step forward from him, but it's still nothing that really concerns me too much. I think you can do a good job as far as offensive line is concerned. One thing I did point out before we go in and get to the other side of the ball, this is a guy that I really liked a lot. Teair Tart played very well for them as far as that nose tackle position. He signed for like a $3 million deal, I believe, this offseason. He's a guy that I wish we would end up bringing in, given the way that the offseason kind of went. We're still kind of looking for that interior defensive line presence as far as a run stopper. He could do that, in his sleep as far as next to Chris Jones as well. And obviously we still have guys like Mike Pennell. We released today Siaki Ika, who was the guy we brought up from the Browns. Obviously, we'll see as far as, what's his name? What's the FSU kid? He just jumped out of my head. Who's going to be competing? I hate the fact that I just forgot him because I like him. I would have to look it up. Give me 2 seconds. But that is still a place in which we have some. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. What is going on? Is it just being weird? Question? All right, hold on. Give me a second. Yeah. I don't know why his name just jumped out of my head like that.
Somebody they drafted?
No, he was a UDFA for us last year.
What position was it?
D tackle.
D tackle.
Big kid.
Fabian?
Yes, Fabian Lovett. Thank you for that. I was like, I was going to find it one day. I promise you. Obviously, he'll be competing for a spot as well, but unfortunately, we don't have a set guy there. And Teair Tart played very well for the Chargers last year, so he would have been a guy that I would have liked to bring in as well. But flipping to the other side of the ball, like you guys said, this is the more of the side of the ball that'll be a little bit concerning, obviously led by Justin Herbert, coming off a year in which he was really efficient as far as touchdown interception ratio. His year did end with a horrendous 4 interception performance against that really good Houston Texans defense, of course, in the playoffs, and that will come with its own questions. However, they did end up going out, drafting Omarion Hampton, signing Najee Harris to form their new backfield duo. They also obviously added Mekhi Becton on a really big deal after Philadelphia Eagles ended up letting him walk as well, to try to solidify that interior of the offensive line that's had some struggles on a consistent basis. And we kind of went through that on film. They just had no answers for the Houston Texans blitz scheme and what they were bringing to the table from a pass rush perspective. Obviously, Joe Alt, Rashawn Slater, good young tackle duo as well. Ladd McConkey, Quinton Johnston, who now can fall into that really third wide receiver role with Mike Williams and Trey Harris coming over, Trey Harris in the draft. So how do you guys feel about, the Chargers offense and the matchups here that maybe give you a little bit of pause versus the Chiefs defense?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm laughing at them bringing Mike Williams back. It's hilarious.
But thing back.
Yeah.
Another old nigga. Why is he on the team? What is he going to do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, they didn't know they were getting a true outside wide receiver in the draft, I assume. So
they did sign him before the draft. It's still crazy. He ain't gonna play.
Yeah, I obviously would expect Trey Harris to obviously try to emerge for them and have some really significant snaps. I think that adding him, giving Ladd McConkey the opportunity to kind of take some pressure off of him, and allowing him to be kind of more predominantly, I guess you would say, in the slot this year. I think it makes for a very big dynamic for them, as well as adding to that run game and adding Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris with that line as well too. I think they did an awesome job as far as retooling that offensive line. Mekhi Becton is really good. I think a really great signing for them. I think a really underrated signing for them, and I think he's going to fit really well into their system and what they like to do out there, especially Jim Harbaugh and how much he likes to run the ball. So that's going to be the big key emphasis for the Chiefs defense. Can they stop the run? I think if they can be able to do that, then they can kind of I still got some good faith that the secondary can be able to handle their receivers, especially with the adjustments and the signings that they made in their Chiefs secondary this year or whatever. Can't wait to see Trent McDuffie versus Ladd McConkey in the slot and seeing that battle for years to come. It's going to be something very interesting to watch. But yeah, this side of the ball obviously gives me a little bit more, a little bit more nervous. I do think they can point for point, they can keep up with you. With that Chiefs offense, with the weapons that they have.
Yeah. CJ, what about you?
Obviously, the biggest thing is going to be they're going to run the football. When you add guys like Omarion and Najee, they're going to run the ball early and often, just like they did last year. So nothing from that standpoint is going to change. I expect another year of growth from guys like Ladd McConkey. As long as they keep guys like Slater and obviously both their tackles like Joe Alt on the field, I think they're going to be a hard team to beat. They don't give up a whole lot of points, obviously, on defense, so that makes them better suited to run the football. And a guy like Trey Harris, like DMac said earlier, is going to be a deep threat for them, which they didn't have consistently. So I get the Mike Williams insurance, but starting Mike Williams over Trey Harris in 2025 is hilarious. I think the biggest thing for them is going to obviously be their tight end position. Will Disley let them down a lot, even more so in that Texans game with the way we saw the year end for them. So obviously, now when you play the Chargers, you know what they're going to do. They're going to run the football early and often. They're going to play physical. They're going to play action off of that. Obviously, Ladd McConkey's going to dictate coverage and try to see what they're going to do in the middle of the field. And they're going to take deep shot to Trey Harris. He's kind of going to do the Josh Palmer role that they had last year for him. So nothing really changed, really, honestly, but this offense is going to be the same thing. They're going to be more explosive now because you have more speed with guys like Trey and Ladd together. And Omarion is definitely a faster back at this point in his career than a guy like J.K. Dobbins. So they did everything they needed to do to get better and to give us a hard time. Because every time we played them last year, the games were tough. They were close. So it's going to be another hard fit for them. It's going to be another tough ball game every time we play on one possession. So, yeah, the most annoying thing for me on this is probably the addition of Trey Harris. Because I didn't really fear their deep passing game because I don't respect Quinton Johnston at all. And they didn't really have a receiver that you could really truly throw the ball downfield consistently through. Because Josh Palmer is more of like an intermediate to short receiver. He's not a deep threat to me at all. So that's probably the biggest move that they made was Trey Harris for me. But, yeah, they're going to be a tough football team to deal with. Not going to be able to just bully him around. They're going to be physical. So it's going to be a tough game for sure.
Yeah, understandable for sure. I think this is This is one of those things where the early down run game success is going to be really a big key to this about how much they can really do those things. Obviously, the interior of the offensive line is a little bit more built for as far as the interior, run game is concerned. And obviously, that's the point of bringing in Omarion Hampton. It's the point of bringing in Najee Harris as well. So it's going to be an early test for what our interior defensive line ends up looking like as well. But that being said, if you are able to, handle that early down and put them in some issues as far as late down is concerned, that they can get after them, especially from the interior. And this is going to be one of those showcases as far as Jerry Tillery being able to be inside as well. Obviously, we know what Chris Jones brings to the table, but obviously moving Charles Omenihu inside, Omar Norman-Lott being able to move inside. And so how often you use those guys, and also you could throw in a sprinkle of Jahdae and Dana as well. So where that mix and match comes, if you can get into true passing down situations and attacking the interior of this offensive line, is going to be very interesting. Our improved cornerback room with Jalen Watson healthy, because people do forget, he did break his leg and then had to miss a significant portion of the regular season and only really came back for the playoffs. So it's one of those things where the Jalen Watson you saw in the playoffs wasn't the Jalen Watson you saw to begin with. And this applies to Isaiah Pacheco, in my personal opinion, too. So having that quarterback room, adding Noah Williams, adding Christian Fulton, what that rotation looks like, but I think they're well equipped to handle what this wide receiver room for the Chargers kind of brings to the table, obviously highlighted by Trent McDuffie too. So I think the defense is in a good spot to get after this Chargers offense, but they do present some problems, particularly on the early down run situation as well. We'll save some quick predictions. I will ask just really quickly since we're here. You guys think Chargers finish below or above the Broncos this year?
I'm gonna say below. I think it's us, Broncos, Chargers.
Okay.
And then Raiders.
It should be the Broncos second, Chargers third, but I think you may expect some natural regression from Bo Nix being in a sophomore slump. Teams have more film on them. I'm going to go Chargers 2, Broncos 3rd, just for the natural sophomore year.
Fair enough. We will get now into those Denver Broncos as they get into their offseason. They certainly ended up drafting R.J. Harvey, which hurt my personal soul. He was my favorite running back coming into the draft. They also just recently signed J.K. Dobbins to about a $5 million deal. They signed Evan Ingram in the offseason to kind of take over tight end big slot duties, as Evan Ingram is prone to do on a consistent basis. Offensive line was one of the best in the National Football League last year, performed very well across the board. Garrett Bowles obviously has proven himself to be a pretty good tackle, though still don't necessarily believe in the most as far as Mike McGlinchey is concerned. And the wide receiver room still highlighted by Cortland Sutton. Didn't do much really to upgrade there. They did draft Pat Bryant out of Illinois as well. A bit more of a development as far as Marvin Mims Jr. and Troy Franklin as well out of Oregon. Devon Vele did show a little bit of flashes as they got further down into the season. But, of course, this is going to come down to what Sean Payton likes to get out of Bo Nix and see if he can put a little bit more on his plate. So as you look at the Broncos offense, as it matches up with the Chiefs defense, how do you guys feel? Maybe some areas of concern, some areas that you want to exploit.
Go ahead, CJ.
Probably just honestly, you gotta really just attack the old line. Honestly, McGlinchey's not really a guy we're very familiar with him. We played him a lot in San Fran. We got to attack this whole line. Sean Payton's more of a guy that loves to scheme you up offensively and get the ball out of his hands quick. That's one thing he did really well with Bo Nix. It was either throw it and get rid of it, or he took off with his legs. So I would definitely try to mix up some coverages, give obviously some more blitzes towards Bo and make him get rid of that ball quick and let our defense rally and tackle. That's something we always do well when we play them. I think the guy that's going to be probably the most annoying group on this roster is probably going to be the running back room, honestly, again. Like, you already had guys like Julian McGoffin, who's explosive, estimated with their goal line back, and then you add R.J. Harvey, and they just added J.K. Dobbins 48 hours ago. So they're going to run the ball too. They're obviously going to try to take the pressure off Bo. I think teams are going to blitz them and make to see if obviously Bo can truly beat them down the field. So Sean's going to try to make it easier on him to run the ball early and often. I hate the Evan Ingram signing because I love Evan Ingram as a player. I did not want to see them get him. He's very explosive. A guy that you can give the ball too short, he can go make a guy miss and get a first down. So I think you can attack this offensive line. Obviously, they use Bo Nix's legs a lot to extend plays and get him on the edge. But I think you can mix up some coverages and make Bo truly beat you down the field for a whole 4 quarters. So I think that's the way you attack this offense. But I think the most annoying group would definitely be the running back room, where they could just deploy 4 different guys and 4 different body types, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's the same kind of flip-flop situation that you got with the Chargers. Offensively, there's nothing that on the Denver Broncos side that really like jumps out and scares you. At that point, I think they got good guys over there. Cortland Sutton has been a pretty consistent guy. Marvin Mims obviously kind of took a little bit of a step, especially later on in the year for them towards the end of the year. So I think that there's some guys over there. RJ Harvey is definitely somebody that you kind of would circle and, like you said, hated that they were able to go out and draft him. But I just think that offensively is nothing that really jumps out at you. It's more on the defensive side of the ball that, is kind of more well-rounded to me, that kind of is going to give you fits. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a well-rounded attack, and obviously the way Sean Payton is able to kind of deploy these guys, the biggest thing that Cortland Sutton continues to give Trent McDuffie some issues, and that just is a thing, and it sometimes happens with cornerbacks where they have weird matchups where they don't necessarily like him. And Sutton is a good wide receiver for sure. I want to see them be able to maybe use Trent again continuously inside. Just put a safety over the top of Sutton and force some other guys to beat him on a more consistent basis. The big thing for me, obviously, again, another thing about can you defend the run, get them into passing down situations, it's going to be a big piece of it. Obviously, Bo Nix does add things with his legs as well. Like I was going to say, the big matchup for me is going to be how they want to deploy Evan Ingram as kind of that big slot and who is exactly going to match up with him. We saw a lot. Shamar Connor struggled with some slot matchups, whether it was tight ends or wide receivers. We saw Justin Reed struggle with tight end matchups as well last year. Who is going to get those primary assignments, whether it is a Trent McDuffie playing inside? Do they want to have one of these safeties come down as well? So how do they choose to deploy Evan Ingram, and how the Chiefs respond with that is going to be very fascinating from that perspective as well, in addition to, once again, early down run defense as well. We'll flip to the better side of the ball as far as the Broncos defense is concerned. Obviously added Jahdae Barron, as we talked about in the first round, to be kind of that nickel cornerback aspect to go with, in my personal opinion, the best cornerback in the National Football League with Patrick Surtain II and Riley Moss as well. They brought in a pair of former 49ers with injury histories with Dre Greenlaw and Talena Hufanga to kind of solidify, I should say, the spine of their defense, going along with Alex Singleton, who had a solid year for them last year. Or I should say he came over. No, yeah, he had a solid year for them last year. And Brandon Jones, who was solid for them as well. But really, this is highlighted by what their pass rush brings to the table. John Franklin Myers, DJ Jones, solid inside. Zach Allen, one of the best interior defensive linemen in the National Football League, had one of those types of seasons. They added Savion Jones as well. And Nick Benito, who was a really underrated pass rusher as well. So Jonathan Cooper is really good too. So when you look at what the Broncos defense kind of brings to the table, what is the major concern? I think we probably agree as far as that is concerned, but a major concern from you guys. And then the more important question, in my opinion, where do you feel like the Chiefs offense should be attacking on the consistent?
Everything.
Whole group is good, man. It's a good group.
Yeah, man, it's a good group. Yeah, I can't. This might be the best defense you see all year. Like they don't have any flaws for real. I mean, obviously there's some injury concerns with Dre Greenlaw coming in now, but I just think that this defense is they're stacked, and like that defensive line gave you absolute fits last year. Jonathan Cooper and Nick Benito off the edge. Get to the quarterback obviously very fast, and then Zach Allen being able to collapse the pocket and throwing DJ Jones and John Franklin Myers in there who step in and do their jobs. That secondary, I mean, you got the best cornerback in the league, in my opinion, in Patrick Surtain Jr. You add him with a complement of guys and Riley Moss and now Jahdae Barron being able to play the slot. I think the one place you may see a weakness for them is in that safety room a little bit, with the emergence coming over, Hufanga coming over to them. We don't know what he's really going to be like, especially coming off some of the injuries that he's had. So I just, it's no real, yeah, they scare me, dog. I'm sorry. I just got to be honest. I hate the Broncos with all my heart, but I gotta be real. They're gonna be a scary unit to go up against. So Chiefs definitely got their work cut out for them.
No, honestly, this may be the best defensive unit we see all year between them and Philly. Honestly, we got to play these boys twice in their own division. So, like I said, I already had much respect for them last year, having guys like Cooper and Benito both had, 10-plus sacks last year. You got guys like Greenlaw and Hufanga for very cheap veteran deals. Yes, they're coming off injury concerns, but when they're on the field, they're very productive players, and they can just step right into an already good and productive defensive unit. So, you had guys like Jahdae Barron to a secondary that was already elite, in my opinion. Still have some guys that you can attack, but when you had a guy like Jahdae he's not required to come in and be the guy. He just come in and just play his role. And that's kind of the situations for a rookie you want to see them in. So I hate that for us, but it's good for them. So it's gonna be a tough group, man. They're hard to throw the ball on already. Obviously, they want to get you in third down, but they have two good bookends. They can get to the quarterback. So it's gonna be a tough group to get the ball past. The biggest thing for them is honestly getting them in second and mediums and keeping them in third and shorts. Because when they're in third and longs with that secondary and that pass rush, they're gonna be a hard team to convert on. And you don't want to put your offense in a situation where you have to block guys like Cooper and Benito and Zach Allen and block those guys for a whole game. It's gonna be a long day if you have to do that. So, a group like this, you have to convert on first and second down. You got to move the ball early. You move the ball early, you give yourself a chance to move the ball and go down and have some explosive plays. So, PS2 is the best corner in football. They added some guys around like Hufanga, some veterans, and try to build on guys like Riley Moss and out to Jahdae back there as well. So, biggest thing for them is just staying healthy, honestly. This is definitely, like I said, it's going to be the best defensive group we see between them and Philly all year. So I'm excited for the matchup because every time we play them, it's always good bump. It's always good competition when we see them. But, yeah, this is a group that not too much you really can exploit, honestly. I mean, their linebacker group is probably the one weakness on the group, and they tried to address it by adding Drake Greenlaw. That's probably the one weakness they did have. But overall, not too many weaknesses on this group, honestly. They didn't give up a whole lot of touchdowns, and they sacked the quarterback at a high level last year. So you got to get them early on often on first and second down, run the football, give yourself a chance to play action like as if any defense, but even more so get this group. But they're going to play a lot of man, and they have the guys to do it too. So,
yeah, absolutely. I think that there is still some opportunities really to try and get them in some bad man coverage situations, really attacking the safety and whoever is the third corner. As far as that's concerned, whether it's Riley Moss or Chris Abrams-Drain as well. Shout out to Mizzou, but. Yeah, it's not a lot of holes that you attack. And like you said, staying ahead of schedule is going to be a massive thing because this is not the team that you want to be in third or longs on a consistent basis against them. I still think you can get after their spine as far as the safety room, as far as the linebacker room is concerned, but that's not, putting it nicely from that aspect. So it'll certainly be interesting to see how the Chiefs choose to get after him. This is certainly going to be putting the tackle duo to a test, whoever that may end up being between Moore, Taylor, and Simmons as well when we come around to it. Real quick question before we move on. You guys buying Bo Nix as a franchise quarterback after a really good rookie year?
As of now, yes.
No.
I'm still no. I'm betting against it, but we'll see how it ends up going as far as that is concerned. Moving on, as far as the Raiders, like we had said, Raiders have a brand new quarterback and coach combination after the law office of Antonio Pierce and Jordan Minshew and AJ McConnell did not end up working out for them. Who could have seen that coming? The Raiders end up going out, trading a third-round pick for Geno Smith, and also adding, or I should say, signing Pete Carroll to be their new head coach as well. Their offseason highlighted by the draft pick of Ashton Jeanty in the first round, top 10 pick. I think it was he sixth? Or did they trade up for it? Was he sixth? I think it was sixth overall pick. The monster,
Jags,
Heisman finalist out of Boise State, had a spectacular collegiate career and specifically season as well. They brought over Alex Kappa from the Cincinnati Bengals to add to their interior offensive line. Colton Miller's still one of the best left tackles in the game. They also drafted Jack Betch, I think it was a day 2 pick, and then also added Dante Thornton Jr. out of Tennessee for their wide receiver room to go with Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker, who had a little bit of moments as well. And of course, their tight end room highlighted by Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. A really good duo, really good young duo. Bowers having an excellent rookie year. All that being said, they also signed Raheem Mostert, which I did not realize until right now. So Raiders versus Chiefs defense. How are you guys feeling about this matchup? Places that maybe give you a little bit of pause, and then places you want to attack as well.
I think the two big circles, your two big players you're circling is Bowers and probably Jeanty going into this matchup, both matchups really, because I think that's arguably who the Raiders are going to run their offense kind of through. We seen last year what Brock Bowers can do to us. It's definitely a tough matchup for us. So we definitely got our work cut out for us. And then bringing in Ashton Jeanty kind of balances out, gives them actual threat running back that they haven't had since Josh Jacobs exited out of there. So bringing him obviously kind of raises your eyes and gives you a little bit of concern to a certain extent. But I think from the receiver, I think really the places that you kind of have the advantage is that receiving room against your secondary. Jacoby Myers, obviously, last year played very well for them, but I don't think he really jumps off the paper for you like that. I think it's an advantage that you can kind of have. So I expect our secondary to be able to kind of have their way with them, especially on the outside. The only really receiving threat, I think you really have to worry about in this game is Brock Bowers.
Mm-hmm. CJ, what about you?
Obviously, yeah, like he says, they're going to feed Jeanty early and often. I believe he had 400 carries last year at Boise State. So I expect him to have the same thing again this year. They're going to give it to him early and often. You don't take a kid top 10, top 6 if you're not going to have him be the bell cow of your offense. So I expect him to get the ball early and often. Side note, I will be betting on his rush attempts over every week because they're going to kill this young man. May not equate to a whole lot of yards for him, but I expect him to get the ball early and often. Obviously, when they play action and they offer that and they're going to throw the ball, it's probably going to be the Brock Bowers or Jacoby Myers. Like DG said, those are going to be the two-head guys. Obviously, Brock Bowers should lead them in targets. He's the guy who's going to dictate coverage for them, and then Jacoby's going to make his plays off of that as well. So nothing on this offense really gives you any pause for concern. Obviously, they're going to feed Jeanty. He's an amazing back. He can take it to the crib with one hit, but obviously their O-line is not the best. They have some weaknesses as far as like tackle play and getting guys open, as far as giving Jeanty lanes to go out there and make plays on his own. So obviously this is much different than running the ball at Boise State, but I think he's a more than capable back. You don't want to underestimate him. But I think we can get after this offensive line like we've done the last few years, get them in second and longs and third and longs and force guys like Geno Smith to beat us. Now, he's the most competent quarterback they've had since Derek Carr. So obviously they'll have better serviceable play back there as well. But we know Geno's also known for turning the ball over as well. So this is an offense that you could definitely get after early, put them in those third and long situations and try to get them to turn the ball over, whether it be interceptions or making them punt and give the ball back to us. So, nothing really crazy on this offense, honestly. Brock Bowers is going to be an all-pro for years to come. You know what he's going to do. He's going to be a good player. I'm excited. That's probably, out of all the matchups, probably my favorite one to see how Jaden's going to match up with Brock when they give him that opportunity to go out there and make a play and match up with him. So, but nothing on this offense really scares you, honestly. Got some solid players. Outside of Jeanty, you really didn't make too many moves. So, yeah, it's pretty much same group, honestly. Just got to go out there and keep them in third and long, honestly, and force Geno to throw the ball.
I hope it's not too often that we have to see Hicks in coverage one-on-one with Brock Bowers, because Brock Bowers is a very good guy. Ashton Jeanty is a good running back prospect. I don't want to make it seem like I say otherwise, but I think I'm not as concerned about this run game as I am about the Broncos or even the Chargers run game, in my personal opinion. The offensive line doesn't concern me all that much. I think this still ends with, hey, can you have a consistent job of being able to cover Bowers and Jacoby Myers and Jack Best to a little bit of a lesser degree as well, because Geno is a significant quarterback upgrade, and he presents you a little bit of a difficult thing as well. Real quick, as far as the defense is concerned, they brought in a few different guys. Obviously, Jeremy Chin over from Washington to add to their safety room. Eric Stokes was awful, I'll be honest with you. Darian Porter out of Iowa State is a guy that I still feel like needs to have a lot of development. Jermaine Pratt, who just recently signed today for the Raiders, I think it was just a nice little $3 million deal as well. Landon Roberts, obviously coming from Pittsburgh. Nothing really concerns me as far as this defense is concerned. Christian Wilkins, is he healthy? We'll see. Obviously, we know Max Crosby is a stud. If you give the proper help to be able to shut down Max Crosby and you don't have Wanya Morris playing out there on one leg, I think that you're in a fine place as far as the Raiders are concerned. Anything real quick as far as the Raiders defense versus the Chiefs offense?
Stop 98.
Block Max Crosby.
That's it.
That's
all that matters.
That is absolutely
block him.
Absolutely.
That's what give yourself a chance to move the ball.
Absolutely. That's what it comes down to. So we do have the NBA finals starting up, and I believe, so I wanted to show this real quick, and we'll go ahead and end it here, as that was our divisional preview, and I always like going through it with you guys. I will say this before we go ahead and end it out here, because I wanted to do this real quick reaction and let DG get out of here. We will be doing a little bit of full NFL previews and then also some stuff specifically breaking down the Chiefs depth chart moving forward as well as we get deeper into the summer and training camps around the corner as we get closer and closer to July as well. So real quick, NBA Finals tonight. The Chiefs ended up posting a little bit of video where some of the players chose their side. So let's see what they ended up picking.
Oh boy, DG, we got to find out.
What's the Halliburton? I'm going with Pacers.
This is easy. OKC has been a backdoor sweep.
Thunder. What's the Halliburton?
Thunder.
Halliburton.
If it's close, it's gonna be Indiana. But OKC gonna win. But if it's close, Indiana gonna pull it.
Oh, OKC. We'll go OKC, man. OKC at 5.
X know where it's at.
Okay, so who you think gonna win the NBA Finals?
What the hell?
What the hell, Jahdae?
What you think about this?
Tyrese the most clutch player ever. We've never seen anything like it.
All right.
God damn.
Yeah, what?
Indiana Pacers, baby.
Pacers. I'm going to go with OKC, man.
OKC.
Thunder up.
OKC.
Thunder. LeBron James.
Yeah.
No. I just wanted to see DG's reaction to the guys that were picking the Pacers. That was crazy glaze. Halliburton.
The Halliburton glaze is wild, bro. Like,
He's the most clutch player we've ever seen.
Bro,
chill out. God dang, bro.
get out of here, bro.
Best of luck to you tonight, DG. We're gonna let you guys get on out of here. If there's anything else, DG, CJ, y'all got anything before we go ahead and get out of here? Nope. Once again, we're gonna be continuing to do some full NFL previews. And we're going to be doing some Chiefs roster breakdowns, including some film study coming up as we get further into the summer. Guys, appreciate you guys for coming by and joining us on Tell the Truth, episode 80, man. Till next time, peace out. Go Chiefs.
Chiefs.